9:24 exactly. Welcome back to the second hour of News and Views right here on Salam Media. Now, four Jewish South African members of parliament have laid the blame for an uptick in online anti-Semitism on the national government, particularly Foreign Minister Dr. Naledi Pandor of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation. Um, quite an unbelievable story, but there you have it. They are the only four Jewish MPs in Parliament. They are Madeleine Hicklin, Michael Bahraim, and Darren Bergman, all of the Democratic Alliance. But the name that jumps out at me and truly surprises me is Glynis Breitenbach. I always thought she was a Sable Afrikaner vrouw, and here she is talking about, I don't know, she's claimed to be Jewish. She might be, I didn't know that. So I'm truly, truly surprised. I was a great admirer of this woman, and now I'm wondering what on earth is going on. Let's talk with Bram Hanekom. He is with Africa4Palestine. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on this important show.
Are you surprised by this task force for Jewish MPs claiming that anti-Semitism is on the uptake in South Africa? I'm kind of wondering, are they not confused? Because I think the larger South African public are anti-Zionism rather than anti-Semitism. And I think we've made that distinction clear enough over time. Your thoughts?
Well, firstly, I think you made a very good point when you opened up. There are more Jewish people in Parliament. You don't need to be a DA member to be Jewish. There are even ANC members in Parliament who identify as Jewish or are born into families that are Jewish. So it is quite absurd for them to claim a monopoly of all Jewish voices in this propaganda trip, I'm sure well-funded propaganda trip to Washington, where they have decided that there's a problem with online so-called anti-Semitism. And they're clearly, I think, up to mischief and embarrassing our country there. I'm not surprised about Breitenbach because it's come to our attention that she's been offering free trips to Israel to a number of other members of parliament. So she's clearly quite deeply involved in the Israeli lobby right now.
Okay. Have we heard from the office of Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor? Because this is a direct attack on her, is it not?
I think it's a disgraceful insult. I think we need to stop tiptoeing around this red herring of anti-Semitism. We have a high level of crime in South Africa. We've got a terribly high murder rate in South Africa. I don't recall in the last 5 years a single murder of a Jewish person based on their identity. So it's an absolute nonsensical discussion in South Africa. We do not have a problem with Jewish people being attacked or violently assaulted in South Africa. It is not an issue here. It doesn't exist. And in fact, during the struggle for freedom in South Africa, the song Kill the Boer was sung by freedom fighters, including myself as a white Afrikaner. I understood that as a freedom song. The way in which we need to deal with the Israeli people or the Israeli government or the Jewish population, who unfortunately too many of them do support apartheid Israel. Apparently, as many as 50,000 South Africans are currently in Israel, involved in the Israeli regime, many of them white South Africans who have dual citizenship, who are currently oppressing the Palestinian people. So how dare the perpetrators and the supporters of human rights violations and abuse of the vulnerable Palestinian people and the oppressed peoples of Palestine, how dare they claim to be the victim? We're tired, and the world is now tired of the endless scapegoating of using the Holocaust. It is not a current issue. It's a historic issue. And this issue of online bullying or anti-Semitism, I think they deserve a lot of online criticism. I believe that those who support the oppression of the Palestinian people do deserve to be called out and challenged by people who are active on social media. It's not a bad thing. I think it's an indication of solidarity and support. Take Minister Naledi Pandor. She quoted a Jewish author and a Jewish leader who had said and declared that apartheid Israel is what it is. It is an apartheid state.
Absolutely.
So now for them to call Minister Naledi Pandor anti-Semitic is the endless rhetoric that they use with no basis whatsoever. It's hardly worth our attention. But what is worth our attention is the fact that we shouldn't even be responding and giving any credibility to this anti-Semitism rhetoric. For too long, we've had to defend ourselves. For too long. If I want to say that an Israeli soldier or a South African who decides to pick up a rifle in Israel to oppress the Palestinian deserves to go to jail and deserves to be insulted and challenged, I think it's my right to do so, and it's not anti-Semitic one way or the other. It's not something we should be afraid of.
Absolutely. This task force of these 4 people that we've mentioned will be questioning top global social media leaders such as Meta, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok in their efforts to confront what they call hate during this. Well, this happened last week, I think, on the 16th of September. So these were the platforms that they were going to obviously engage with. What do you make of that? And again, have we heard from Naledi Pandor's spokesperson, or does she believe this is utter rubbish and doesn't even deserve a response?
Well, I haven't spoken to her. I haven't spoken to the department or the director general or anyone. I will let them know about this ridiculous article. I think it's also important to realize that this wasn't, I mean, we can talk about Minister Naledi Pandor, but this was an attack on us as South Africans and on the media. I was shocked to read that a DA member of parliament claimed that local media, and in general sweeping terms, that local media is captured in South Africa.
Absolutely.
That our media in South Africa, which ironically is owned by a diversity of people, which include Jewish people, white people, all sorts of people, is captured because in the end, it becomes really hard to hide the truth. And eventually you call the whole entire world liars because the truth is coming out and you're still clinging on to a lie. The Democratic Alliance has to be held to account for this disgraceful participation in a nonsensical and dishonest, defamatory activity in Washington. The fact that they insulted our country, the fact that they're misrepresenting our views, the fact that they're claiming that we have a problem of anti-Semitism in South Africa, that is an absolute brazen lie. We've got a problem with homelessness. We've got a problem with electricity. We've got a problem with violence in our communities. We've got a problem of rape. We've got a problem of murder. We don't have a problem of a bunch of rich kids with dual citizenship who want to go and carry a rifle and bully the Palestinian child being called Zionist. That is not a problem we face in South Africa. It is a misrepresentation. If anything, we should be protesting outside the houses of those who went to this conference, and protesting outside every and any single person who has picked up a violent weapon in support of the Israeli regime. Quite frankly, we have blood on our hands on South Africa, and the blood we have are these people that are linked to this group of people who went there and to the Jewish Board of Deputies and so on, who actually are recruited by the extremist state of Israel and carry a gun and oppress the Palestinian people, violating international law and our own laws for that matter. So I think the DA shouldn't be let off the hook on this one. I think that Naledi Pandor's spokesperson doesn't need to come here, whether they do or don't, I don't know. But the people who should be explaining to South Africans what the hell's going on is the Democratic Alliance. Why did they go there? Why did they say our country has a problem that we don't have? Why do they claim that our media is captured and that our country doesn't have independent media? And why on earth do they claim that South Africa shouldn't be supporting the oppressed people of Palestine, who we have had a long history with? Because as all oppressed people in the world gathered together during apartheid, we gathered with them while we were oppressed, and today we haven't forgotten them.
Bram, so they have a lot to answer for. I kind of wonder, a short answer, what is their agenda, and how are we going to make them answerable or accountable for this hideous, this hideous release of theirs, which is really a pack of lies?
Well, that's a very good question. I think that in Parliament, these questions will have to be raised. Under what banner did they go, and what basis were they there, and whom were they representing? Were they representing the DA? Were they representing a self-selected group of so-called Jewish members of parliament? And I say that because, like I said, there are more Jewish members of parliament than just them. So these right-winger extremists, self-selected, went across there. So a lot of questions need to be asked. People need to be accountable for their actions. We can't be disgraced as a country by some four, I believe, bigoted, maybe extremist, at least extremist, supporting members of the DA. I think that even within the DA, they find themselves expressed in the very far right fringe of the DA, because the DA seems to have been trying to. I mean, I remember when they desperately tried to join and address and actually got onto the stage in Kwabeja, the Democratic Alliance's most senior leadership, one of the members of their, I don't know what they call it, central committee or something, got onto the stage wanting to address protesters who were protesting against the invasion of Palestinian soil. So I think they need to be held accountable in Parliament. The media need to hold them accountable. The electorate need to understand that this is what happens when we give our votes to people who are not morally sound on the issue of Palestine. And if they're not morally sound on the issue of Palestine, I don't believe they'll be morally sound on the issue of healthcare, on the issue of uplifting our poor people. Because if you believe that one group of people, because of their skin color, their religion, their race, their ethnicity, or even where they're born, is more important than another group of people, then I certainly wouldn't trust them with my vote.
Bram, always a pleasure to talk with you. Bram is with Africa4Palestine, talking about that issue. Disgusting indeed for people at that level to be putting out statements like these, not only in South Africa, but the rest of the world, suggesting that Naledi Pandor and the South African media has been bought, and we are pushing the anti-Semitism agenda here in South Africa. Pack of lies, I say. Yes, we do oppose Zionism, but I don't think anyone can be charged as being anti-Semitic. Bram, thank you indeed. Go well. Till the next time, as
Thank you.
always.
Thank you so
Keep us.
much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.
God bless. God bless. It is exactly 9:37 a.m. News and Views right here on Salam Media. We are going to be joined by Sandile. I think it's Swana. I think my controller has given us the wrong spelling of the name on the screen. Sandile Swana is a political analyst standing by to talk to us about why certain South Africans are still feeling marginalized, very especially on Heritage Day.